Welcome back to Attic to Basement Estate Cleanouts with Raccoons and the House of Death, Books, and DAR. This is where I talk about some of the 800 houses I worked in the DC metro area while I did an estate cleanout business there. Today I'm only talking about a house in Darnestown, Maryland from the fall of 2011. It was so full of interesting things I can spend the whole episode on the contents. It took myself and 2 helpers 198 hours to empty it out, and I'll explain why. I was called in the fall of 2011 to a house in Darnestown, Maryland, to meet a lawyer. I didn't know until I got there that a man younger than me had died in the 4,400 square foot home in one of the 5 bedrooms. He had been found by the housekeeper when she came to do the weekly cleaning. He had been dead for 24 hours. A sad fact was that his own father had died just months earlier. His mother had died years ago. One of the things the lawyer wanted me to do was to meet with ServPro, who was going to replace floorboards in the bedroom where the man died, and to air out the house. The first duty of work, I only had to let ServPro into the house and wait until on the front steps while they did their work. They were there an hour and a half and left a fan running to the outside of the house. ServPro came back to pick up their fan and check on the room 4 days later. That was the first day I and one of my helpers started sorting through the other rooms. Doing estate cleanouts, I've worked in houses after people have committed suicide or died of natural causes. Usually the lawyer who was executor had a company come in and take away the mattress if they died in bed, or remove the rug or chair if they died in another room of the house. In 2005, my husband and son had to carry out a recliner where my 96-year-old grandmother died suddenly in her apartment. The maggots were starting to hatch in the chair. She had only been dead 3 hours when a neighbor that had earlier brought her lunch found her and called the ambulance. Usually I was called in after evidence of the death was gone. Sometimes there was an odd smell to the room, but otherwise we just set to work and didn't think about it. I do remember one woman who died in her townhouse in the summer and wasn't found for over a week because the neighbors started to smell something bad, and then they called the police. Unfortunately, she was an odd woman who I was told, cut her lawn with scissors. So the neighbors avoided her. If they didn't see her, that was fine with them. Another client who was an elderly woman who lived alone in a DC row house fell down the basement stairs and died and was not found for weeks. Again, the police were finally called to check on her when the neighbor smelled something. I feel bad about the way some people die, but couldn't dwell on it, as otherwise it could get gloomy or creepy. There was some sort of holdup on this job. I don't remember what it was about. Possibly the lawyer was looking for other relatives, so we didn't get back to work in the house until March of 2012. The father of the deceased was the sole owner of the house. Before the wife died, she had been busy with the DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution, and the Republican National Committee, the RNC. The house was chock full of elephant statues, art, antique and leather-bound books, large sets of dishes, a very pretty doll with a Republican patch on her dress, and there were lots of White House Christmas ornaments and collectibles. I took 300 photos to show the auction companies. Weschler's auction took the art, books, and bus, and some of the furniture, including a handmade dining table and chairs from Seoul, Korea. Some of the art turned out to be reproductions. Associated Auctions took the jewelry, 2 cars, and other furniture and glassware. As you will see from the photos, there were paintings everywhere, even over the doorways, and going up to the stairs to the 2nd floor. The ceilings were at least 10 feet high, so there was plenty of wall space to cover with paintings and plates. There were books in large bookcases in several rooms and in the hallway upstairs and in the basement. I was surprised there were antique books in the basement as it was damp down there, although maybe there had been a dehumidifier going when the owner of the house was alive. A few of the books in the library of the house were from the 1700s and earlier. I was surprised to find a sofa on the main floor with cushions covered in plastic. From the amount of dishes, glasses, and silverware, I have to believe they entertained quite a bit while Reagan was president, and I wouldn't think plastic on the furniture would be something I would see in this house. There was a white Yamaha grand piano in the living room and an upright piano in the basement. There were dozens of antique knife boxes. They sell in the thousands of dollars. There was a model ship and bronze busts of American historical figures. There was a gold-plated tea set on a tray and gold-plated silverware. I counted 134 decorative plates hung on the walls of several rooms, and some were still in boxes. There were 12 boxes of flatware. There was china by Limoges, Lenox, Nico, Dresdana, Green Bay, and Christopher Stewart. Some china was in the dining room and some was stored in a large pantry, and more in boxes in the basement and the garage. There were 2 cars in the garage, and one hadn't been driven in a long time if the dust on it was any indication. There were desks and cupboards filled with writing paper and pens, some with DAR and RNC special event dates on them. There were gold straight-back chairs lined up along the basement wall. So many that I wondered if during a remodeling project at the DAR or RNC offices in Washington, D.C., she had brought them home with her. I can't include all the photos here, but check out my Facebook page titled 800 Houses, 800 Jobs, where I've posted many more than I have shown here. Thank you for listening. Please let me know whether you like what I'm doing or not. If you do like what I'm talking about, please subscribe. Bye.